When it comes to being a ride or die chick, this is more for me. I feel as though women, they tend to be a ride or die chick, and there's really no like happy ending. I don't know. That's just my perspective. I feel as though, like, because if you ask me, are you a ride or die chick? Yeah, I'll ride it out for a certain amount of time, but there has to be a lesson learned eventually, and you have to realize, all right, is it worth me sticking out till the death part? You know what I'm saying? Like, like sometimes I feel like when you're a ride or die, it's not usually a healthy situation because you're riding for someone and you're not necessarily, obviously, as a couple, making the best decisions, and it's kind of like, all right, I'm gonna stick it out either way. And I think that's like very unhealthy, and it's not something that I could see myself doing. And I don't think I've ever, well, as an adult, I've never done that. But when I was younger, I used to put myself in situations with people that I knew. It's like, why am I even around this or supporting this? And I don't agree with it. Marry me.
I agree with Jada. I really don't take ride or die to be something of a healthy term, something of a positive term. I really see that term very negatively because I don't know, maybe just in my mind, I associate that with doing something bad that you got to stick it out for. You know, you got to stick it out with your partner through something bad, like, oh, he got locked up, so you got to hold it down. You got to be a ride or die chick. Yeah. Selling drugs, you got to hold it down and take the drugs elsewhere and hide from the cops and something crazy. I don't know. That's where my mind goes.
Lying under oath.
Yeah.
That's regular.
Yeah, but
you see, but it's not, and that's exactly, and it's not healthy, and it's
a parent will lie under oath for their child that's riding or dying,
someone
but that
they pushed out of their body.
I don't care.
Whoa.
No. What we're gonna do is we're not going to give any other variables to the context of what's being said. So if you push out of your body or not, you are riding and dying for your child, right? What I'm trying to do is understand, why is there a negative stigma on it? For example, you can ride or die for your kid, right? Most parents do, actually. And you can ride or die for maybe your sister, a family, a loved one, someone that you deem to be a significant other. But the second that it enters the realm of a relationship, we look at it as a negative.
I kind of
stigma.
feel like,
I know that there are ride or dies, right? Friends, bros. The code is ride or die. But we may not, actually, we do actually say it, ride or die. Like, for example, once you jump into a certain street life, you are a ride or die. Now, don't get me wrong. I ain't saying everybody does abide by those rules. But what I'm saying is that it is a normal thing to demonstrate an immense amount of loyalty to one another. Now, has there been in certain instances, has it been one-sided? Yes. But in other instances, it is actually on both ends. There are dudes that ride it out for their girl. There are dudes that love women who are truly terrible women. And they would sit on her side and be her little hush puppy dog until he finally gets the chance, because all he wanted to do was demonstrate loyalty. So let's not make this a gender thing.
I'm not making it a gender thing. Can I just say, I think you really pushed it with putting the family.
The jumping jacks, gymnastics.
You just really overdid it.
Super gymnastics.
I think we're not talking about a family, mother, daughter, brother, sister bond. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a relationship. And at the end of the day, if someone that's not my family is putting me in a negative position or making me jeopardize my life in any kind of way.
Is your husband your family?
You said husband.
I'm just asking you a question. You said relationship. Is your husband your family?
Married. Now you're jumping again.
No, I'm not. I'm asking you a very simple.
Girlfriend.
Is your husband your family? You don't
have to be a ride or die to your husband.
Okay,
but you're in a partnership. You're connected. You have paperwork on that.
So
that's totally different.
Your husband is not your family.
Your husband is your family. That's the point I'm making.
Okay. For y'all, let's just make it really clear. You can have 30 husbands. You only get one mama. You only get one father.
Amen.
So that's the difference.
And some of them are the worst people in those people's lives. So what I'm saying is, to go back to it, I don't like we want to add variables, and that's one thing that I learned that a lot of people try to do to diffuse whatever the real principles are. I want to talk about principles on ride or die.
What are they?
The principles of ride or die is extreme loyalty, under any circumstance. Now,
To your detriment?
Exactly.
even
I'm like,
even
fucking what?
I spoke very clearly when I said any, I meant any, to your own detriment, to one's detriment, whatever the case may be. It's extreme loyalty under any circumstance.
Can I just clean up what I said, because it makes a point when you say under any circumstance, but it really only comes down to being called a ride or die under a negative circumstance. When you're in trouble, or when you gotta fend for your family, even if it is a family. It could be a partner, it could be your sister, like you said, it could be your child, like you say, but it's under a negative circumstance that you gotta be that ride or die for them.
That's because you have to think about it. Everybody's loyalty is tested in your life. And the only time your loyalty gets tested is when things are hard. Unfortunately, that's the reality. When me and you are great, I don't expect anything to be wrong with us. But when me and you are not great, are we still going to be good? So that's why you see this stigma of ride or die under negative circumstances, because under the negative circumstances is when one defines their loyalty to you or to what you may have, whether it be a relationship, whether it be a friendship, whether it be a family, sister, brotherly bond.
Can I speak now real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. I think
My
that sounded
thing
great,
is-
guys, right?
I don't know. It's cool. But this is the thing that I'm trying to get to. Is it really worth being a ride or die?
Not all the time.
It's not always worth it. And it's not always going to be like the outcome. If the outcome, for example, if my man is about to go to jail for 10 years and, I'm expected to just, hold it down, stick it out, not knowing what the situation is going to be when he comes back, or not knowing, a lot of things can change in that time. If I decide for myself it's healthier for me to just move on and try to make a better life for myself and find happiness with someone else, is it now an issue that I chose not to be a writer?
No.
And I don't think that it should be an issue. Even in gangs, if we're talking about gangs, that's not a healthy situation to even be in. So it's always I don't think it matters. I don't think that's the same thing when you're in a marriage. I think it's really when you're in traumatic relationships with not traumatic, but you're in basically detrimental relationships, or relationships that'll make you, there's no great end goal. So it's kind of what is the purpose of that?
I just have a question. Let me know if you agree or you don't.
Sir.
In most marriages that we've watched or heard of and grew up to fantasize and have the imagination of, right? We've all heard this sentence before, maybe numerous times. Till death do us part.
Yes, we've all heard that.
You're missing my point.
I'm just asking a question because I'm making a different point.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm just wanting to know yes or no.
Hurry up.
I just want to know yes or no.
But yes.
Like,
the answer is yes.
Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate it, even though Erin just wanted to look at me.
Hey.
With the
so,
straightest fucking face.
because listen, here's my thing, right? I'm not gonna argue, and I would never argue being a ride or die to somebody that is not worth it to do it. That's foolish, right? Not everybody deserves your loyalty, especially if they haven't demonstrated loyalty within themselves to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, I think ride or die, in my personal opinion and experience, is a reciprocity of partners, right? When a man is ride or dying for a woman, or whether he's ride or dying for his homie, there are situations that are coming up nonstop where you're dictating, or where you're demonstrating, I should say, your loyalty to each other. Now, when it gets to the biggest point, right, whatever case that may be, some people, it could be in a marriage where a dude was like, yo, we've worked for 10 years. We've been married for 10 years. We've worked for 10 years. We saved our money for 10 years. I want to take all of our money and flood it into this investment. Are you riding with it?
No.
That's
I'm not saying you should. I don't think
We have $30 left.
I don't think that, but the point that I'm trying to make is not every woman is a ride or die or is capable, because being a ride or die comes with an extreme amount of unselfishness and how about this? Selflessness. So, and you have to understand and see the bigger picture within that relationship. So if that is the case, because I want to get away from the stigma of you're going to jail. right? You have to lie on court because a ride or die is not always you're going to jail and a dude is committing crimes. A ride or die is this is rough, is going to be rough, or whatever the case may be. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Are you willing to see it through?
That's a great example. And I like that. And I feel like it's a little different than a ride or die because I feel like that's like ride or die and being someone's wife or husband. I feel like those are just two separate things. And I feel like extreme loyalty to someone you don't have, like I don't owe you anything. It's not significant enough, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I think in a marriage, those things are going to happen and those things are expected to happen and those things are things that you work on as a partnership. But when you talk about ride or die, there's so many different things that can come into the situation and you're not really benefiting in any way because this is not someone you're married to. This is someone that you're taking chance with for no reason.
I know some wives and some husbands that are not ride or dies. And I know some wives and some husbands that are ride or dies. I think that, but
it's not as much of a chance.
It's always a chance.
Because in order to break that bond, you have to go through a divorce.
Y'all.
You have to.
Y'all.
Yeah, come on, break it down. Help us out.
This is the main difference between having loyalty and a commitment to somebody versus being a ride or die, if you will. Because, like she said, in a marriage, you have a partnership. Everybody's going to give, everybody's going to take, everybody's going to benefit. But in a ride or die situation, there's an unequal power dynamic. It's typically one person who is getting the majority of the benefit of that relationship. It's typically one person who's shouldering the burden, the emotional bullshit, the hurt, and everything else of that relationship. Mm-hmm. So we're conflating a whole bunch of things that need to be like cleared up because at the end of the day, you can be extremely loyal. You can be extremely committed to somebody, but loyal to what? And foolishness? Loyal to stupidity? Loyal to bullshit? Loyal to bad decisions? Loyal to bad decisions that's gonna fuck up your life?
Go ahead, girl.
Their life? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, if I'm married, we're in a partnership. So whatever bad happens, it's happening to us. But in a ride or die situation, if something bad happens, one person
it's happening to both.
Like, no, it's not.
Yes, it is.
One person is taking the unequal burden because you're so loyal in an unequally balanced relationship. I don't understand, like, what's so hard about this concept.
Because if you really, I'm going to clear some. First of all, your concept is not the best. But what I will say is.
We agreed on the definition.
No. You said usually one party is getting more than the other. I've never agreed on that. I actually said it was an equal or a certain amount of reciprocity, to be exact. Then we have people watching. So what I will say is this. Most men, first and foremost, marry their ride or dies or people that they deem their ride or dies. This is not something that we actually have a whole stat for.
Yeah, give us some.
We don't.
But what I can say is most men, and I've said this before, and actually not only did I say it, a lot of men that came on Eight at the Table said it. When they start to choose to marry a woman, most times they marry the woman that had been there through it all. We had a girl come on here a couple weeks ago. I forgot. I'm sorry. Alyssa, I believe. Yeah. We had a girl come over here a few weeks back. And she stated that she got her man because she been riding with him from the very beginning. They were friends at first because he wasn't ready for a relationship. Right? Long story short, 3 years passed. They've been together ever since. They actually have investments together now. Men do not trust, and I'm not going to say all. A lot of men, when we're talking about gender now in this ride or die, gender siding, a lot of men marry their ride or dies because men don't just trust a woman with everything that he has. Granted, he has something to give or offer or lose, realistically. Now, when it comes down to it, Bonnie and Clyde, because this is where everything stemmed from with ride or die. Correct, Erin?
That's where the whole, like...
ideology came from.
You get me in
trouble. No. That's the word. That's where the whole romanticism of
okay,
that came
cool.
from.
So the Bonnie and Clyde history, right? Was this one-sided?
Young and in love,
so
trauma
right
bonding.
Here I have their first meeting. I mean, it's a very in-depth story, so it's not going to be like we're probably gonna have to
Let's
break it
get
down
the
to pieces.
gist.
A little
Well,
story.
They was robbing banks together.
To
girl.
begin with, right? They met. One of them was injured, and they met. They were 19-year-olds and 19-year-old. Well, the male was 20, and the woman was 19. Right.
Also give the year.
19 January 5th, 1930 is the year that they met, their first meeting. Now 1932, so it jumps straight to 2 years. So 2 years being together. It says early robberies. This is based on Wikipedia, by the way. That's my citation in the words of Erin. 1932, they had some early robberies and murders. Earl was released from prison, so it looks like he was arrested, but the dude came out of prison in February 1932. He began making robberies. Guys, I'm gonna have to take time to actually read. This is a lot.
But the point is, they were young, they were teens, and they were young as hell. Haven't even experienced life. They're just puppy love, basically.
Frontal lobe
This is
ain't
the way
developed.
Exactly. These are young kids, and this is not even in a century. So that is another issue. But these are two young people that are just madly in love, that are doing dumb shit together. Shouldn't we be pushing towards having an end goal in a relationship, not riding it out and be extreme loyalty is a problem in our culture.
I can
it's
see
a
it.
problem because that's what happens in gangs. You're sitting here being loyal to people who are jumping each other, not loyal to you. So much confusion, jumping each other in, so much chaos going in and doing time. People getting shot up, parents' houses getting shot up. You being fucking loyal to people that are your friends and your bros, and you're having this people that are not even your real blood family. You're having bonds with them that are just going absolutely nowhere. You're ending up in jails together. This is just an example. I'm not talking about relationship wise, but I'm just saying in general, that's being a ride or die to your homeboy, and there's no benefit to that.
There is benefit. We gotta stop.
To have a good friendship, and then die at 23. So what's the point of having this? I'm saying something real quick. So you're having a friendship with your homeboy. You're making dumbass decisions. You guys are just living life and just having loyalty to each other. I'll fight for you. I'll ride for you. Let's get money together. Let's make sure we trust each other. And then you guys what really are you working towards? Work on, obviously you can't marry your homeboy, but in a relationship,
they
work
can.
on, have
That's what they
that.
want.
But in a relationship,
now they can.
there needs to be a goal. Why am I riding so hard for you? Why are we giving so much of ourselves to other people? When I die, I'm going to die alone. I'm going to be buried alone. So I'm not giving anybody way more loyalty than I give to myself. That is the point. I need to have loyalty to myself at an extreme height before I can give it to anybody else.
Well,
fuck a ride or die.
Well,
I'm not ride or dying for nobody. I ain't dying for no motherfucker.
You don't have to, but what you do have to do is honor your word once you commit to something. So now, once you want to say that, hey, look, you want to jump in the gang. If you decide to jump in the gang and the code is to ride or die, that is the code. That is something that you must obey by. If you decide to jump into a fraternity, right? Your fraternities are ride or dies. There's millions of different organizations that are just not a gang culture.
Sororities and fraternities. No,
it does not. No.
Right.
What you're doing is
college.
No,
we're going from gang to college.
Because what you're doing is you're trying to put ride or die is only on the people who are willing to be detrimental.
When you ride with your frat brother,
I'm trying to talk. I didn't talk while you were talking.
Wait, can I correct one thing that y'all are both?
I wasn't talking while you were talking.
No, both of y'all are saying one wrong thing. Sororities and fraternities are not ride or die organizations.
Factory.
What I'm trying to say is ride or die organizations does not have to be a staple. We're talking about what's the culture. Now, guess what? If you want to say what's ride or die, now a lot of people that sign up to certain things, when you join certain organizations, you have the expectancy to ride for that person with extreme loyalty. Now, all of these places and all these organizations and all of these parties do not always have to result to a dying outcome, because what they're doing doesn't go down that route. So now what my problem that I'm hearing is that we always take the ride or die and only think about the death part. Right? We don't ever want to think about the ride part. Nine times out of 10, most people that are doing the ride or die are not dying. How about that? Most times the people that are doing the ride or die are actually typically riding with the person
Until it gets uncomfortable. I give you that. All right.
riding with the person that is going to benefit them. Most people are riding with people that are going to benefit them, especially nowadays more than ever. Because now everybody has an awareness of what 1 + 1 = 2, of what this step is going to equate to, with plus their moves is going to equate to this outcome. So now when you have all these people like, yo, you know how many people be like, I don't even want to join a gang now. There's less gang members than there is now joining new actively than there was before, even though it's a pop culture thing. You know why? Because they're seeing the outcome. It's being demonstrated of what's going to happen. You know how many people, when 6ix9ine got out of jail, said, I'm glad he snitched. I would snitch too? Millions. And those people could be deemed as not ride or dies. But this is something that is awareness. But those people will do a ride or die for something else.
But who's wrong in that situation?
Well, not that situation.
I'm just curious to know your perspective. Do you think 6ix9ine should have snitched or not?
No. He should have never. I mean, it's a very complex situation, and I don't want to dive into that man's business. But at the end of the day, once you sign up for something, it's
snitching.
Especially when like I said,
I'm snitching.
I'm 20-some years.
I'm definitely snitching. Don't ever think I'm not.
Relocate me.
Don't do no dirt with me.
The crazy thing is, and
I get it, but
and nowadays too, here's the worst part, and this is something for people to understand. Snitches still do jail time. They just do less of it.
They just do less.
So now,
yourself.
but you didn't save yourself. You put yourself in more harm's way.
No, I'm moving to Mexico.
You
But can
can't
I
do
also say,
Jada, he's the last grade.
relocate my ass. Right, at this point.
Everybody's narrative and definition of the extreme outcome does not come to play.
So can I just say, in my mind, I'm feeling like, just one more thing. In my mind, I'm feeling as though I understand where you're coming from, and I feel like most people don't think husband and wife when they think ride or die. And that's where my mind is different. And I feel as though in a ride or die situation, there's always one person that's like probably more of the insecure of the two. One person is taking advantage, and I think that's where there's an issue, because there's someone in the situation that is gonna lose more, and that's why it just.
Sometimes
I don't think of it as husband and wife. When I think of ride or die, I just feel as though there's someone who's being taken advantage of, and I just don't.
So let me ask you this question, right? When Bonnie and Clyde were robbing banks for 4 to 5 years, right? You think that Bonnie was the only one enjoying the luxuries of all of their robberies?
No, again, I think those were two young people that were making dumbass decisions.
I get that. I get what you think about that. But my question is this: was only one person benefiting from their risk?
No.
So now what ends up happening is you have two people benefiting from certain risk when you're doing the ride or die. The ride or die always comes with benefits. Let's not get that confused.